Hi everyone, today is January 24th, 2016, and for this video I will be talking about the many different attacks in the environment, just updating you on the things happening around the world in the environment that you should pay attention to, because it ultimately, if you don't pay attention to it, then it'll ultimately the pollution in the environment may ultimately end up in your systems, and causing you problems. Here, this first article is from the Daily Mail, and it reads, Alzheimer's cause discovered. Poisonous algae found in UK freshwater lakes and reservoirs could be fueling dementia epidemic afflicting 1 million people. So it's always been up until now people have linked dementia to old age, and haven't really pointed out one chemical that may be causing dementia and other neurological disorders. But now in the UK, apparently they have found this chemical, BMAA, which is produced by algae, and like spirulina and blue-green algae. That bloom, in the water, and these toxins BMAA, are then enter the ecosystem, the food system, through fish and plants that are eventually used by human beings. And apparently they found that a large majority of lakes, freshwater lakes in Great Britain, that have common blue-green algal bloom, have a higher incidence of BMAA, and the people that live nearby have seen an increase in neurological disorders such as Alzheimer's, dementia, and motor neuron disease. If at these same rates, if the same rates of motor neuron disease and Alzheimer's and dementia continue on, scientists say that it will affect more than 1 million Britons by 2050. And again, and in the latest research shows that again, BMAA, if given, if your diet is rich in BMAA, then you're more likely to come across with Alzheimer's-like symptoms within 5 months. This is from research done with monkeys. Also, again, in a human population in the Pacific island of Guam, high levels of BMAA have caused astonishing rates of neurodegenerative illness. So all these things have been caused by, again, problems with fertilizer, and that has been again washed off and enter into freshwater lakes and reservoirs, and cause blue-green algae bloom. So again, be careful. For those of you who buy spirulina or blue-green algae as supplements, always check to ensure that it comes from a clean source. you could get certified organic or spirulina or blue-green algae in order to make sure your source comes from a country that doesn't have a lot of these problems, such as some European countries and or the United States, Canada. Okay, again, you could get spirulina and blue-green algae from clean sources. An example, one distributor is Organic Burst. They have a spirulina product that claims to be free of BMAA and other harmful contaminants. So you could use that. But back to the issue of the contamination of water. So if in England right now, UK, their water is contaminated by this BMAA and it's causing dementia. And this similar situation is happening in America, in Detroit, Michigan, in that area, in Flint, with the Flint water. All right, here's an article from the Daily Mail. EPA regional chief finally resigns over Flint crisis 22 months after residents first started complaining about the high levels of lead in the water. So instead of BMAA in the water, as in the UK, in Flint area, which is close to Detroit, Michigan, it's lead that's in the water. And lead also causes degenerative mental problems and degenerative neurological disorders. The problem here in Flint, Michigan is after, in April 2014, the Detroit Municipal Water Company was unable to continue its operations because there were so few people who were paying money. So then the EPA stepped in and then had the water from the area go from instead of the Detroit Municipal Water system, which was treated water and they had safety and all these regulations, but they began drawing it straight from the Flint River as a cost-saving measure in April 2014. But since then, children's blood have tested positive with lead, and as a result, more children in that area are experiencing learning disabilities, lower IQ, and behavioral problems. And all this has occurred and the regional chief of the EPA in the area, Susan Hedman, she didn't take the necessary steps to mitigate the situation, and the situation got worse and worse until recently. They had to call a state of emergency and have National Guard distribute water to people in Flint, Michigan, and even people started rallying and demanding Obama visit the situation, and all around a horrible situation. Water is one of the most important things that the body needs to survive, and now it's being contaminated not only in the UK and in Europe, but also here in the United States as well. Here is another article concerning the Flint crisis. Michael Moore, famous director of conspiracy movies and not only conspiracy movies, but movies that have brought the alternative truth to the mainstream. He says that this is not a mistake. They did this. They knew. Michael Moore accuses Flint government of knowingly ignoring poisoned water in impoverished majority black city. So again, he calls this a racial poverty crisis, and this would never happen in a white city. Again, this is just a horrible situation for the residents there of Flint, Michigan, near Detroit. Again, not only has, due to the NAFTA treaty and all these other treaties that have sent many of their manufacturing jobs away to countries abroad, just destroying the economics foundation of that region, but also now they seek to also, I guess, destroy the water supply. So here's an example. State officials insisted for months the water was safe, even as residents complained about the smell and taste of it immediately after the switch. So this is from when they switched from the Flint River source of water, and the water was untreated. Again, orange water coming out of the taps. Here's an example of the difference between the water from the Flint River and the water from Detroit municipal water supply. There's a big difference, even though this water is not that clear. But again, this is causing great trouble in this area of Michigan. Not only that, but not only causing a higher incidence of lead in children and in people there, but also Legionnaire's disease is also spreading there, which spreads in throughout the water. It's also causing the pipes to get rusted, and again, all these things are happening. But why is all this important? Because if this is all important because if another article shows here from the Daily Mail how if mothers can't get clean diet free of GMOs and free from toxins and man-made chemicals, and if they can't get clean water, then again, this all ultimately seeps into the body, and all these chemicals and GMOs ultimately lead to disruption of the normal DNA pattern, and this is reflected ultimately in the reproductive cells. And again, if the fetus is not growing, if a fetus within a pregnant woman is being fed constantly dirty water and contaminated food, then again, children are going to have extreme abnormalities, such as this incidence in Uttar Pradesh, India, the Sai nursing home. A mother by the name of Savita Rani recently gave birth to a baby who had no brain, no head. This is a horrible thing to stomach. As you can see, the baby. Again, the baby was born with extremely bulging eyes, and her head. She didn't have a properly shaped head and ears, and again, all this has been blamed on by the doctor here at the Sai nursing home, that the complications occurred due to incorrect, irregular eating habits of the mother during pregnancy. So this could also be due to just the contamination of food and water supply in the area that could be causing this. So again, this is why this is important. This is why clean water is important, and non-GMO foods, and eating the right things. All these things are important because you don't want to end up having children born with such extreme abnormalities, and all these things, and alongside these alongside that issue, there's a great issue of man-made diseases entering entering nature and entering the human genome. Now there is this new disease called Zika disease, and it's spreading through mosquitoes, just like West Niles, and just like other diseases, yellow fever, dengue, all these things. So now this new disease is spreading. According to the CDC, it's causing a paralyzing condition, and it's this new disease. It's spreading only in tropical countries, apparently targeting those tropical countries in South America, the Caribbean, and Polynesia. The disease apparently spreads through mosquitoes. Again, there have been mosquitoes in the past that in these regions, and none of them have caused these type of diseases until now. Apparently, recently, the link between the virus, the Zika virus, and has a link to a rare birth condition called microcephaly, which means that the babies who or mothers who are infected ultimately pass on. Ultimately, their babies are born with a shrunken head or abnormal development of the brain in the fetus. Again, the Zika disease causes apparently major severe brain damage and development in children, and all this is horrible. Here's an example. You see the child's head is hasn't fully developed yet, and so again, this Zika disease has been apparently spreading throughout the tropical regions. Apparently, it started in 1947 in Uganda, and from there has made its way. Apparently, it lay dormant for 60 years, and then just out of nowhere reappeared in Yap Island, and then it's been spreading throughout the tropical region of the Earth. Again, doctors are now telling women now doctors in these tropical areas are telling women and scaring them into not getting pregnant until 2018, which is an extreme dire, again, measures to take, especially so early on in the spread of this virus. But again, with the rise of the linked incidence of developmental abnormalities in children that are born with mothers who have the Zika virus, is enough cause to cause the CDC to take extreme measures. But all this ultimately, again, falls into the whole depopulation agenda of the UN, to lower the fertility, not only the fertility rates of in many countries throughout the world, but also to lower the actual birth rate in many countries throughout the world. Again, here's the article from the Washington Post. As Zika virus spreads, El Salvador asks women to not get pregnant until 2018. So again, keep in mind, in Brazil will be the Olympic Games this summer. So again, that's another thing looming of this Zika virus. The rapid spread of the Zika virus has prompted Latin American governments to urge women to not get pregnant for up to 2 years, an extraordinary precaution aimed at avoiding birth defects believed to be linked to mosquito-borne illness. Again, the World Health Organization and the UN, this all smells as if this was planned, and again, that this mosquito suddenly came out of nowhere with the Zika virus, and now it's causing birth defects. Is a sign that there's been some type of human genetic manipulation of the disease, and also these these mosquitoes. Again, it's only targeted in the tropical areas of the world, where again, in these tropical areas, there are higher, I guess, birth rates than you would expect in the first world countries. So basically, they're targeting third world countries and most third world countries, and so that again, to bring down the birth rates and fertility rates. All this is evil. If you go to my website, I wrote an article recently on the UN depopulation agenda. 3 signs of United Nations depopulation agenda. Again, warfare. Since World War II, after World War II, when the United Nations was formed, it was formed under the idea that there would be more peace in the world, and but apparently since then there have been more wars fought by the United States, and more wars around the world, and since then the United States Army has built more military bases throughout the world. So again, all these things are signs of just that they have used the excuse of peace in order to further their goals to depopulate the world through war, famine, and disease. But the most important one, sign of depopulation, is again the fertility rates. Again, here are the fertility rates in 1970, and again, keep in mind that in the tropical areas of the world are where the more children are born per family. And in 2014, again, there has been a great decrease overall in terms of children per family in the tropical regions of the world. And again, even in the first world countries, there's been a small drop, but again, the significant drop has been primarily in the tropical regions of the world. All this is signs of depopulation, and I say this because, again, this Zika virus is just an extension of this depopulation agenda. So, especially when they ask women in these tropical areas to not get pregnant until 2018, until, again, this Zika virus continues to spread. So, again, but again, on a bright side, there was a story recently in the Daily Mail of a woman who was infertile for a long time, and she again experienced a miracle from God in having a baby girl that was born on her mother's and grandmother's birthday. So again, here's the article. And so again, not everything in this world is evil, but there is still some good in this world. And that's why you should believe in God and Jesus Christ, because this is the source of the all and good in this universe. So again, on that note, have a good night, and talk to you soon.